the Indonesian government has denied an Israeli claim that a hospital in Gaza built using Indonesian funds sits on a site where Hamas has built underground tunnels. The Israeli military claimed Hamas had built the Indonesian hospital, quote, on top of their terror infrastructures, and that Hamas had used a nearby area to launch rockets into Israel. The foreign ministry in Jakarta responded that the hospital in northern Gaza was, quote, entirely for humanitarian purposes. The statement comes amid growing public condemnation in Indonesia of Israel's actions in Gaza. Over the weekend, thousands protested in the capital Jakarta, holding both Indonesian and Palestinian flags. Participants were clear why they were there.
Many are enthusiastic in their support for Palestine. Hopefully Palestine will be peaceful soon and their conflict will subside quickly.
The issue in Palestine is not just a matter for the Muslim community or Indonesia alone, but for all people and religious communities. Thus, we indeed need to unite to pressure Israel for a ceasefire in Palestine.
Let's get more from DW correspondent Sharon Sumalong in our Jakarta bureau. Sharon, just hearing what the protesters there were saying, it looks like Indonesians are firmly in one camp.
Yes, Birash. So that was exactly what I'm saying for the protesters when I went to see the rally as well. So Indonesia has been very high in support of the Palestinian cause, not only in words, but also in massive amounts of donations collected for the Palestinians to help them. And series of rally and protests actually have been breaking out in the streets for the last couple of weeks, joining many other protests that I believe also took place in many other parts of the world. But the one last Sunday was very particular to me because it was very huge. Tens of thousands of people are joining. And what was interesting for me was the interfaith solidarity that was shown during the rally. So on that rally, there were 6 representatives from 6 recognized religions in Indonesia, and they made a joint declaration in support of the Palestinians. And so speaking about the support, we know that 3 ministers were also present, including the foreign minister, Her Excellency Retno Marsudi, during the rally. And we know that she has been very vocal in speaking out in support of the Palestinians in the international forums, for example, Birash, during the UN General Assembly emergency session last week, where she called for immediate cessation, and also when she had a bilateral call with the foreign minister of Malaysia about the urgency to save lives. Not only from the foreign minister, we also know from President Joko Widodo, he also asked for the root of the conflict, namely the occupation of territory, to be immediately be resolved with the parameters agreed upon by the United Nations. And during the meeting with head of the Gulf states, for example, President Joko Widodo is also inviting for a global solidarity for Palestine.
Strong words there from the government, especially as to what Indonesia considers to be the potential root of the problem. But has the government backed up its words with actions?
Yeah, so just last weekend, Indonesia has dispatched the first batch of humanitarian aid for Palestinians. More than 50 tons of food supplies, medical equipment, tent, blankets has been delivered. And the second batch will be delivered in the next 3 weeks, comprising medical equipment. Indonesia's Minister of Defense, Prabowo Subianto, has also offered hospital shipped, but still in coordination with the Egyptian authorities.
Just to go back to the point that you were making, something that you saw at this rally in Jakarta, it being an interfaith rally, and also the strong words from the government. I mean, this is what we are seeing now and what you saw, but support for the Palestinian cause has always been high in Indonesia, hasn't it?
we know that Indonesia is a country with the biggest Muslim population in the world. So there's a sense of Muslim brotherhood that is very thick there. So we know that we can see there's a collective empathy on the independence struggle and the religious aspect as well. Until now, Indonesia still doesn't have any diplomatic ties with Israel because Indonesia has long opposed Israelis' occupation of the territory. And we often heard from the Indonesian leaders, from the foreign ministers, from President Joko Widodo as well, that in every breath of Indonesian diplomacy, Indonesia's foreign policy, the issue of Palestine resides.
Sharon, how does all of this, what we're seeing in Indonesia right now, play into an election that Indonesia is heading into next year?
Yeah, by now most politicians and also presidential candidates for next year's election have shown support for Palestinians. Like, for example, I just checked Instagram, Prabowo Subianto, the presidential candidate, just changed his Instagram profile picture into watermelon picture, which is a symbol of resistance in Palestine. Also, Ganjar Pranowo, another candidate before his candidacy, has rejected Israel's participation on the U20 World Cup, which was controversial at that time. And another candidate, Anies Baswedan, was also present during the rally. We have to figure out later if it's going to boost their votes or not, but we know that the issue of Israel-Palestine has been the key foreign policy in Indonesia.
We'll leave it there for the time being. Thanks so much for joining us today, DW correspondent Sharon Sumalong in Jakarta. Thanks so much.